to the whole class. If you come early, try to move a few chairs inside.
Oh, okay.
So instead of asking your discussion leader to do all the job, right?
Okay.
If each one of you manage to get one in, we're in good shape.
Is there enough
part
right
of the
now,
reason,
or-
I think maybe okay. Part of the reason because there's another class, and the same situation, they move all the chairs.
Yeah.
Well, let me begin. I'll make the announcement again. I think the first paper originally is due next Thursday, but we want to extend it to next Friday at 5. So after the discussion session. So the first paper. And also there will be a conference scheduled for Saturday, April 17th from 9 to 12 with a lunch. The lunch is a working lunch, so the discussion will continue. So you feel you're not totally obligated, but it's a good idea for you to take part in it. And there will be no class, the very final one, April 27th. Instead of the final one, we have the conference and the other classes.
You said the paper is due Friday by 4?
5.
By 5, okay.
So you have another hour or so to write. You have 1 hour to write a paper.
Will there be an online Dropbox for that?
Yes.
Should we bring, okay.
Sorry, what's that conference?
Well, I will say a few words about that. Let me make the announcement again. Your first paper would due instead of the 24th, the 25th, which is Friday, at 5 o'clock, the first paper. And there will be, I will make the announcement a few times, there will be a conference on Saturday, April the 17th. We'll find a place, it will be more, I think, more congenial to group discussion than this one. We can all sit around the table, hopefully. And there will be no class on the 27th. I would say one word for the conference. For the conference, there's no imposition of anything on you, but each one of you are urged to give a, we'll meet at 9 o'clock, so each one of you are encouraged to give a 5 to 10 minute presentation of any subject, of course related to Confucian ethics, right? So the first part of it, probably the first 2 hours, then we open up for discussion. I have some ideas to share, then all your inputs will be involved in the discussion. This is from 9 roughly to 12, and then we'll go to a restaurant for lunch, and it's a working lunch, so which means that the conversation continues, probably until 1 or 1:30. So just reserve that day. It's not an imposition. You have a schedule, like a doctor's schedule, you cannot change. Normally doctor's schedules are not scheduled for Saturday. So you're strongly urged to show up. Okay.
Sorry, the paper's the 26th, not the 25th.
Okay.
It's from the 26th
26th.
to the 26th.
26 is a Friday at 5 o'clock. How would they be able to turn that in?
There's a Dropbox on the website, and I'll email them with instructions. And if there, I'll give you
So they're
another
all
method.
turning their papers on
Electronically,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh, that's normally I would like to have some printed.
We
Look
can-
at the computer. This.
We can print them out.
No problem. No problem.
It timestamps them, so people get them in at the last minute, and they're guaranteed that they've proved that it's on time.
That's technology. We're going to deal with the Great Learning and Doctrine of the Mean, which I rendered it as Centrality and Commonality. Next week will be challenging. Normally, around 2 weeks to deal with the Book of Measures. But this time, we have only 1 week. So I urge you over the weekend to familiarize yourself with measures, which is not easy at all. just get general sense what Mencius is about. So I just assume you've already read Mencius. So discussion, presentation will be done with that assumption. I didn't finish general discussion on great learning, but that's all right. It's one of the shortest essays. You'll be able to figure that out. For this session, we're focusing on the question of creativity in selfhood, in reference to centrality and commonality, or the doctrine of the mean. First, I think by now you should have a fairly good idea, the Confucian idea of the self as a center of relationships, right? And I simply want to note that idea of the self is related to a number of dimensions. In other words, self is never understood in terms of what I call a reductionist model, just to define the self in terms of one distinctive feature, such as the self as a rational animal, the self as a true user, or the self as someone, some being competent of linguistic expressions. Language use is typically human. But the Confucian idea of the self is, maybe we should have this for everyone.
Okay.
Right? So you know your colleagues and fellow students, you should get in touch. I think if a conversation, even among two of you, among three of you, that may turn out to be very okay. Since the Confucian tradition understands self as a complex, not structure, but complex process of unfolding different potential inherent in the person. This is especially from Mencius. A person is social, or human being, social, political, historical, even metaphysical, and so forth. Now, let me give not a detailed discussion, but a very simple discussion of how these different dimensions that help to constitute the self. Necessarily, the self is communal. In a sense, the self is social. It's not possible to imagine a human being that emerges without any communications with others. That's true with virtually all the animals, but in the human sense, to involve oneself sociologically with other human beings requires certain kind of social consciousness. You interact with other people not simply by nature or by instinct. No matter what, your likes or dislikes, the sense of appropriateness, all these forms of consciousness are present. But the self, as a human being, is also political. As of now, before we move into this utopia of any kind of undifferentiated community, we belong to a particular country or particular territorial area. So we are necessarily political, whether we like to be political or not. The self also is historical. It's not possible to imagine a person that doesn't have memory. The memory begins very early and gradually because of cumulative, gradually becomes complex. So memory is absolutely critical. And also from a Confucian point of view, the memory is shaped by your sense of genealogy. Genealogy, intellectual genealogy. For example, Mencius was aware that he was a follower of Confucius. Confucius was aware he was a follower of Duke of Zhou and earlier. So this historical memory is also related to your sense, not how you came into being in terms of your blood relationship. Of course, you're aware of that. You know not only your parents, but your ancestors, maybe two generations or 3 generations or even longer. But also, human beings look forward with anticipation. So you have